and welcome. It's me, Persita, and this is Persita's Paradox. So today we continue on with our love series, Toxic Relationships and Toxic Interactions. Today we're going to try to recognize what those toxic relationships and interactions look like. So we're going to talk about the 10 red flags of toxicity within those relationships and interactions. And remember, we're not saying that people can or cannot change, because truthfully, there is always an opportunity for a person to change. But typically, over time, you can see that change. These particular red flags are going to be things that have never really changed within the person, and even time does not allow them to change because it's a part of their character. It's just a part of who they are. And for the most part, these things do not change. So let's go. 10 red flags of toxicity within relationships. Number 1, chronic anger. Chronic anger is a person who does not get angry over a particular situation, let's just say, or anxiety, but these are just straight blow-ups. These are moody people. These are people who use all of their personality and their issues for, let's say, a sense of control. And what they do with that is that they keep you in a mindset of you don't want to make them angry because you want them to stay in a pleasant mood. So you just don't do anything that could set them off or push any of their buttons whatsoever. Number 2, chronic sarcasm. Sarcasm is definitely witty, and it allows you to kind of play on words and play on a person's personality or shortcomings or insecurities. But a person who uses chronic sarcasm, they literally disguise that as anger. They're typically upset with you, but they try to use the sarcasm to say that they're not, right? And again, we already know that's a sense of control, period. Chronic humor can also put you into a despairing humor. So let's make that number 3, disparaging humor. Disparaging humor is the equivalent to sarcasm, but it's, how should I put this? It's disguised as sarcasm, but it really is super duper duper off-putting. Let's just say they'll use themselves in a place of saying, I don't really like you. I'm just playing. Or, I don't really like the way, you cook. Girl, I'm just playing with you. For the most part, that is disparaging humor. They're using it in a sarcastic way, and they're using the wittiness of sarcasm to still come at you in a way to put you down, but they put you down in a manner that you almost have to think about it twice before you know. I call them comp assaults, right? It's an insult with a compliment somehow intertwined in, but it's still disguising itself through sarcasm, which we know is a disguise of anger. So believe it or not, they all tie within themselves one and the same. They're just different flavors of the exact same chip, if that makes any sense. Number 4 should be punitive mindset. So what that basically means is that they really believe that people should have bad things happen to them because they deserve it. So it's almost as if something goes wrong in someone's life, the person's like, well, they deserve it. They shouldn't have done blah, 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 blah. And, it's what it is. Or my all-time favorite, have you ever had the person who comes along and they don't apologize, but they say things like, well, if you hadn't done so-and-so, then you wouldn't have made that comment come out of my mouth because I would have been nice. I try to be nice. I want to be nice, but you made me upset with you. So since you made me upset with you, you deserve whatever my wrath is. Now, they don't use those terms. It kind of sounds like, well, when you said this, it made me say this. So the only reason why I came at you that way is because you did blase, blase, blah. Be very leery of that type of a person, because that is what you would call punitive damage in the psychological aspect of what that is. And it is very toxic. It puts you in a position of always feeling as if everything you do is to blame, and that you're just not able to make any good decisions when it comes to this person. You also want to be very, very conscious of the fact that it would go into the very next thing to talk about, which is a controlling natured person. Now, sometimes we don't really identify controlling nature as a facet of toxicity, because it almost feels as if it's just something that we should almost appreciate about a person, because most people say that their controlling nature is for the better of you, right? They're only really doing what they're doing because they're trying to help you. And you have to be conscious of that, because it's very tricky on when they do what they do and how they do it. So they may literally try to talk you into something, and let's just say you don't want to do it. So you might be told by someone, I really don't like it when you wear, yellow. It kind of makes you look off-putting, and you don't really want to wear yellow. And then you wear yellow, and they see you wearing yellow, and they're completely upset with you. And they're upset with you not because of anything more than they told you that you didn't look good in yellow. After they've told you not to wear yellow, you're actually wearing yellow. So they're completely upset with you. And they put you into a place where you feel some type of a wrath that comes from them, back to the anger, right? Back to the controlling nature, that you shouldn't do anything that they don't want you to do. Because if you cared about them, and if you respected their thoughts or their information to you, if you love them properly, then you would not be doing the thing that they didn't want you to do, which is, in this case, let's say, wear yellow. So that being number 5, I don't think I said that. You want to be very conscious of a person who uses that against you completely. You just want to know it. Number 6 would be excessive insecurity. Those are my absolute favorite. The insecure person who absolutely better have a morning text from you every single morning, a good night text from you every single morning. You better make sure that if you go and get coffee, if you're going into the office, that you're bringing them some coffee, because last week you brought Sally Sue coffee every single day. And if you cared about them the way you claimed, then you would also be bringing them stuff, or anything along the lines of them feeling as if they're number one in your life and no one else matters. You have to continuously make them feel secure in whatever that is, be it your words, be it your time, be it your effort. They must know every single day, every hour on the hour, that they're important to you. And you must always agree with them. Always. If you don't agree with them, then what kind of a relationship do you have? I mean, how exactly are you guys going to build and make it if you're not on the same page and on the same board or at the same place at the same time? And it's an amazing situation, because I can't think of a time that even in my husband and my our time together, our marriage together, that I can say that every single issue we have been at the same place at the same time. There are those moments that you are, but this person doesn't allow any of that. You must agree at all costs, and at any means necessary, this must happen. If not, they are continuously needing reassurance that you still want to be there and you're there with them and you're not leaving, and so on and so forth. Okay? The next one would be extreme opinionation. Extreme opinionation. Now, we all know, I've been the first person to tell you that I am extremely caught up in what I believe to be right. But what I have learned is that my opinion is my own. So I had this as, I would say, a toxic attribute in my own life. Now, this is something that I could say that I had very prominent in my life, and this being number 7. The opinionation of myself would actually consume me to the level where I just could not understand how you could love me and not agree with me. It took me years to understand that had nothing to do with love, but it was the way that I was raised. But we'll get back to that. But a person who is an extremely opinionated person, they're typically judgmental. You don't really want to talk to them about a lot of things because they criticize. And when they criticize, they make you feel as if you're just not good enough. I will tell you that if that is something that is a part of your demeanor, sometimes you'll do it and you won't even know you are doing it. I know when I was doing it heavily, I still have to catch myself sometimes. But when I was doing it super duper heavily, I had no idea on what people would be saying to me or why people would not want to really communicate with me after I had given my opinion, because they felt as if I was just going to judge them and make them, out to be something crazy if I didn't agree with what they said or they were doing after I'd given them my opinion. So you want to be leery of if you're the person doing it or not. In my case, I can completely relate to that because it is something that I had to completely fix in my life. But you want to be conscious. It is not something that, again, that completely leaves even over time. I'm in my late 40s and I still tell you that I can struggle with it, especially if it's someone that I think that I love extensively or I'm super duper close to, or I feel as if I need to be the savior for them. It all goes underneath that umbrella, but it's all BS because the truth is that if I love you, then I let you live your life and I move on and I give advice when asked and I keep pushing without any judgment. So remember that one. The next, number 8, the manipulator. Oh my goodness. Now, how many of us can absolutely relate to the word manipulation? We know what that is off the cuff, but a manipulator in a toxic relationship, they're the coldest. And they're the coldest because the way that they move and the way that they are so persistent in exactly what it is that they're going after, you don't even recognize that you are losing a battle that I don't even know, honestly, if you're capable of winning. Prime example, if a person says that they want you to do something, right? And you don't agree. The manipulator is different than the person who doesn't agree and moves on. The manipulator continuously comes back and continuously asks for questions like, why? I don't understand. I mean, you want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it, you want to do it, and if we do it together, we could be so much better. Prime example, let's use buying a house together. If they're trying to get you to do something like buy a house together, they will continuously, over and over again, ask you the same question until you change your mind. So I'm using the example of buying a house. So you initially get why don't we go ahead and buy a house together? And you go, no, it's not really what I want to do. I don't want to buy a house. I have a house. I'm happy with my house. You have your house. I have mine. Let's just keep it going. And they'll act as if they understand. And then they'll keep coming back with I don't understand. You still should really consider buying a house with me because this is what it is. And then they go into what I call the if-then scenario. If we go ahead and we do this together and we go ahead and we get this house together, then blase could happen. We could save more money. We could do more things together. We're practically together anyway, so why not do it? They just continuously push until you finally run out of excuses. I mean, at some point, how many ways can you tell a person no? And they continuously come back and keep asking you the same thing. A manipulator, they are persistent. They will literally push it until you change your mind so that they can win. It is all about winning for a manipulator. Outside of the control, it is all about winning. So the if-then, if you do this, then we'll be able to do this. If this happens, then we'll be able to do that, is all about what they're doing. And when you don't agree with them, they have this level of ability to try to push guilt on you like nobody's business. So be leery of the manipulator because they are really the coldest of all of this in regards to anything we're talking about regarding toxicity, to being a toxic person or having toxicity within the relationship. They are consistent and persistent, and they will push guilt in a manner that no other trait actually will. The manipulator. They will push you through guilt, and they will push you to the point where you lose all sight of excuses or reasoning on why you chose it, to the point where you'll stop and go, well, what am I really saying? I guess you're right. Every time I give you an excuse, you give me yet another reason on why we should do it. So maybe I should just go ahead and get the house with you. Maybe I should just go ahead and marry you. Or maybe I should go ahead and do, change the job. So whatever it is, you got to be conscious of that because they drive all of that towards changing your mind. They are ruthless. So be super duper conscious of the manipulator because you don't want to find yourself only appeasing them because you just don't want to feel the guilt. You just get tired of asking yourself, why am I still answering this question? So you give in. And that is really what a manipulator wants you to do, is to give in, see their side so they win. Because the manipulator characteristic only wants to win. They're out to strictly win. Coming up on number 9 is the self-centered person. Now, when we think self-centered, we typically think about being selfish and things of that nature. And yeah, I mean, that definitely can be a definition of what self-centered would be. But what I would try to say self-centered would be, it would be more of the type of person that wanted to exploit who you are through what they've done for you. So it becomes the person who knows you need something. They want to be there for you. And then they basically want to control you through the point of saying how great they were to you, right? And what they gave to you, and how if you care or love about them the way you say you do, then you would make sure that you are giving them what they gave. Otherwise, they feel as if you use them. So their whole thing is making sure needs are met, or making sure things that you need and desire are fulfilled and accomplished, but they still want some extra sense of loyalty from you because they were there for you, and you should be willing to do whatever it takes to be there for them. It's like they will meet your need as long as they see that there's a reason for it for them to meet your need. The problem with that is the price that you pay for a person like that to do something for you, or to put you in a position where they're going to actually be there for you, is insane. And I've never ever watched that type of toxic happen in a relationship and it comes out pleasant. The person gets bitter. They feel as if, if they did something for you and they don't feel as if you treated them right in return. They're completely mean-spirited. The words that come out of their mouth, the actions, the rumors that they start, the things that they do are all centered around how much they did for you and how you just let them down. And they're cool with it because they will absolutely start with you and tearing you down, and you'll go from there. So if you receive anything from this person like that, then understand the price that you're paying is well beyond what you actually would have received from them, be it love, be it admiration, be it finances, be it whatever. Their needs must be met in order for them to feel as if they're okay. And they will attack you in ways that you are just not mentally prepared, and find yourself asking, was it worth it? So you just really, really, really want to be conscious. That was number 9. Number 10, the do-all of say-alls is the person that's always on offense. They're just completely always on offense. And what I mean by that is that they have this thing of like, how can I put that? They continuously want to put themselves in a position of everything is happening to them and nothing is happening to anyone else. And if you could see it their way, something's on my mouth. If you could see it their way, then you would know that everybody is, trying to get to them and trying to hurt them. So they got to get over on you first. And they have to make sure that they're always fighting everyone because no one understands them and no one. And when I say everything is against them, I mean absolutely everything, from their family to their colleagues to everyone can never see how great they are. And they try their best and they're always trying to be good to people, but no one sees it that way. So they have to get over on the person before the person gets over on them. Now, we all know that that is absolutely BS, but it is the final red flag that we're going to discuss today to say, be very leery of that person. Anybody that continuously has to walk around in an offensive posture, you really want to ask yourself, what has happened to this person for them to feel like everybody is against them, the world is against them, and no matter what, they're continuously going through something. And you'll find this person who constantly can go back to, some type of depression or anxiety or the woe is me spirit. I mean, they are an amazing, empathetic, mindseted person. So they tend to pull on your heartstrings, and they tend to try to make you feel bad for them. And they also try to hold you hostage by understanding that you need to stay with them because they can't handle it by themselves, and you're all they got, and you're all that they have to live for, and all of the extras. And they always focus on time, and they always want to be the type of person who say, and I use always loosely, but they tend to be the type of person who says, oh, we've been together so long, or we've done this so long. Be conscious of that, because it takes a minute for a person to really come out of the shell and be who they really are. Now, mind you, these are red flags, and I gave you 10 of them. And I still will tell you that I see people who will ignore the flags as if they don't see them at all. Because again, there's something within them that has come from their childhood that makes this type of trauma normal and familiar. So they stay with it. But be conscious, people. Be conscious. Do not allow yourself to not pay attention to things you already know. This is a predatorial scenario. Toxicity is something that is deliberate. Be very conscious. It is not something that a person is not trying to do. When you're toxic, you know you're toxic, and you do nothing to change the toxicity unless you're seeking professional help. Again, a person who's been toxic all their life pretty much remains toxic unless they are taking in some type of professional help. So, in saying all that today, I hope I give you some sense of grounding to go and check some of your relationships, especially the ones that you find to be, very, very close to you and within your circle of what you want to call trust. Make sure you're not overlooking some things. But in the meantime and in between times, I'm always so appreciative for you joining me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Tuesday is like no other today. I thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this helps you a little bit in going forward. On Thursday, we'll elaborate on some other things on how to actually get out and make your way out of some of this toxicity. But in the meantime and in between times, check your relationships, people. Really pay attention to what it is that you're ignoring. And if you are aware and ignoring, ask yourself, what in your childhood are you tying to re-traumatize yourself? Because what you're doing is simply not addressing something that has nothing to do with anything more than the foundation of why you're identifying these toxic traits as things that would really be love-driven. They're not. So let's be conscious of that. Again, always remember to do 3 things. Live life authentic. Thank you so much for joining me. Like, share, comment. Do whatever it is you feel like you need to do. Send me an email, smokescreen, talk to me. If you're not knowing how to handle what I just gave you or what you should do with that, feel free to pose a question down below. Matter of fact, I'd love to hear, what have you learned in just a little bit of time that I've given those simple signs of what toxicity looks like? Are there any of those traits that you can identify with? Leave me a comment and let me know what you're thinking. In the interim, like, share, subscribe, comment, all those other good things. Okay? As always, I will see you on Thursday. And remember today to have a blessed day. It's not promised. So do all you can do to be the best you can be today. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.